because there's so much information available to us all the time, it feels as if there's so much noise that it's harder to pick up those subtle signals. At least that's my experience. And that can be felt in the body too. Collective fear or tension or overwhelm. We all experience that through the pandemic, yes? Even if you were trying to avoid the numbers rising of people dying and the fear rising, you could also pick up your neighbor's anxiety, couldn't you? Especially if you're sensitive, your co-workers' state of overwhelm. So at some point, we as physical and more than physical, also metaphysical containers or energy systems, we pick up not only our own internal state, but also that which surrounds us. And we're going to talk about that today, how the environment influences us and what to do about that. How to handle the increase in energy that is happening throughout the world, and how does that feel to us, and what do we do about that? And for those of you that are here for the first time, you are welcome into my home, into my practice, in our practice as a community here on Insight Timer. We meet every Saturday, unless I have an event, a personal event, and I have to skip a weekend, every Saturday at 11 Eastern US, because I am in the East Coast of the USA. And we cover all kinds of support tools, ways to stay present, grounded in our bodies, cared for by ourselves, and connected to self-love and the expression of our potential through well-being, vitality, energy, a pain-free body, open heart, and a clear mindset. And that's what I do for those of you that don't know me. I am trained in Feldenkrais, which is a very interesting way to use the brain and its plasticity to move in the world with a potent way, in a way that aligns with our intention. And personally, I've been very interested in spirituality and the expansion of consciousness for the last 30 years, I would say at least. So ever since I was very young, don't ask me why, I was aware that we are more than this physical body, that we are connected to an ocean of consciousness. Not only us with our higher versions of ourselves, with higher intelligence of our own self, but also between one another. I'll never forget one of my first great job opportunities as a Feldenkrais practitioner. The first one was in the Feldenkrais Institute of New York. And they give you this, they used to give you this strength finder test, like one of those that you buy in corporations for every employee, so you know what each individual's strengths are. And I remember seeing my results, and I ranked very high on ideation and imagination, in leadership and motivation, but also in one thing called interconnectedness. And I'll never forget my boss, who I looked up to, looked at me and said, "What's that?" Interconnectedness. He'd never heard the word. He is from Poland. And I look at him like, "What do you mean, what's that?" It's obvious, isn't it? That we are all interconnected, that we share a blueprint, a human blueprint. And for me, that's a knowing. So everything I've done training-wise, it's based on that knowing that we are connected. And then I started understanding it a lot more through quantum physics. When you look at quantum entanglement and things like that, you realize, oh yeah, that's a cool explanation. But have you ever experienced being connected to somebody through time, and you're thinking of them and they send you a text message? Or you have a dear friend or a family member, and something is happening to them and you feel it, or you have a dream about them? So that's the interconnectedness that I'm talking about. And it's really interesting, and I would love to hear in the chat if you can, because in these times, feels like the fast speed of information and how fast things travel can also create a lot of noise. There's a balance between connecting to our intuition and to our knowing, and the knowing of our heart, if you want to see it that way. Great book about that called The Heart's Code by Dr. Pearsall. He talks about the knowledge of the heart and how the heart itself has about 40,000 cells, much like brain cells, and sends more messages to the brain than the brain sends to the heart. So even the heart has only 40,000 and the brain has trillions of cells. The heart is sending more signals to the brain. So the heart holds all this knowledge. And how do we access that? Has a lot to do with quiet and silence and space and pause. And because there's so much information available to us all the time, it feels as if there's so much noise that it's harder to pick up those subtle signals. At least that's my experience. And that can be felt in the body too. Collective fear or tension or overwhelm. We all experience that through the pandemic, yes? Even if you were trying to avoid the numbers rising of people dying and the fear rising, you could also pick up your neighbor's anxiety, couldn't you? Especially if you're sensitive, your co-workers' state of overwhelm. So at some point, we as physical and more than physical, also metaphysical containers or energy systems, we pick up not only our own internal state, but also that which surrounds us. And we're going to talk about that today, how the environment influences us and what to do about that. So get ready for a cool session. We're going to interlace talking and sharing content with experiencing it somatically, putting it in your body, so you're grounding these concepts and integrating them and not just thinking about that, so you can remember them. When you put something in your body, you remember it with more ease. You don't have to recall somebody else's knowledge. It's yours. And even if you keep one thing out of maybe 20 things that I shared today, that's good. That's yours. You can do that again anytime you want to. And I would love to, especially those of you that are new here, I would love for you to know that the chat is open for participation, for interaction, for asking questions, for sharing experience and knowledge. I don't like this one-way session where I only share. For one, it's really tiresome for me because I get exhausted from talking all the time. Also, I love to learn and engage and interact and exchange. So when you share, it becomes a two-way conversation. And it's my rebellious way to change the paradigm. In schooling, traditionally, we are supposed to sit there and just take it and listen and agree or put it aside, but take everything we are hearing as word, right? The word, the teacher knows, and I'm just listening and memorizing. And I would love for us to have a dialogue that I wish I could have had in school more often, to say, but why is that? And can you tell me more? And that's not my experience. So how do we find common ground? I see my children doing some of that. So times have changed, but I was schooled in that way. So I don't want to repeat that experience because it wasn't that fun for me. I was never really happy just listening. So please share, and I will give you prompts and things to share specifically, but if something comes up that feels related, go ahead and share it and we'll integrate it to the session today. Hello everyone. So more people joining us. Diana from Alberta, Canada. Thank you. April, welcome back. Richard from Ohio. Rose from PA. Yay, I'm in PA too. Kate in Washington State. Wow, we have a lot of the US mapped and big part of Europe. Boston, Massachusetts. Yay. Okay, dear ones. So let's begin by anchoring an intention. Yeah, it's both, Elle. It's going to be practice and talk, both. Yeah, more practice than talk. But first I want to know if this is your experience too, and how does it manifest in your body? Because the more that we know about how is it showing up and what is making things better and worse, the more efficient the practices can become. So in other words, you're not taking a recipe that works for somebody else. You have an idea of, if this is what I'm experiencing, this is something that I can do. So you're always checking in with yourself, like, how am I feeling and what do I need? That's at the basis of my work. Let's say you ate something and you know that your body needs rest to process that, and you're not going to keep eating, right? You're checking in with yourself. Am I full? Am I hungry? Or one day you had, say, ice cream or something sugary or something that you know that not amazing to have every single day. So maybe the next day you take a break from that. You're checking in with your body. You're not just blindly following every craving or eating at every opportunity without checking in if you're full. So that same biofeedback mechanism I would love for us to use when it comes to the nervous system and resetting, regulating, grounding. And I'll show you how, at least a few ways that I know that work. Hi, beautiful ones. So let's share first, if you can, if you have access to the chat, what is your experience of these times when we think about this expansion that is taking place? And not only because we just had a major eclipse or some planetary events or things happening in the world that are intense. We can all agree with that on many levels, but how does it feel for you in your body? What is your experience? And I see a lot of different people in my practice, and I can see some commonalities. For example, sleep is challenging sometimes, or there's more dizziness or headaches or ringing in the ears or vertigo. For some people is a little bit of spinning, overwhelm, not knowing what to do, or being unfocused or being fuzzy in your direction in life. What is it like for you? How are you navigating these times? Thank you, Nancy, for sharing. Nancy says it feels overwhelming. Yeah, I agree. Overwhelmed and often sad, says Kate. Yeah, thank you for sharing, guys, because then we begin to see patterns, and we also begin to see, well, overwhelm, where does that feel like in your body? Like, where in your body is the overwhelm? Is it in your head? Does it feel more like your head is kind of spinning and just busy, thoughts running nonstop, hard to fall asleep or come back to sleep? Or is it overwhelmed, like anxiety in the whole body, like restlessness, like not being able to settle down? So see, that is different. And if I were to give you, sometimes you see on Instagram or something like 5 ways to stop that. I'm like, yeah, for who? And how old are you? And do you have kids, or are you older? And there's so many nuances to this. So it's for the person. Let's find at least 2 ways, 3 ways that work for the person and not just general advice. So sleep is a challenge, says Taya. Yeah. Staying asleep, or do you sleep? Like, I see this often too. People sleep for like a sleep cycle of 1.5 hours, and they wake up and their mind is fully alert, like they're ready to go at, say, 1 a.m. Very common. And then it's hard to fall back asleep. So you have an easy transition into sleep, say 9-10, whenever you go to bed, but then the sleep cycle is really short and it's really hard to have a full night of rest. Staying asleep, yeah, perfect, thank you. April says, I'm okay. April, it's been a rough month for me at work, but it's working out for my highest good. Nice, you have that awareness, that's great. Challenge sometimes is for good, and still interesting how to navigate the challenge. Jennifer says, brain fog, poor digestion, overwhelm, headaches. Okay, so the brain, the mind brain, right, the one that is processing all that information, headaches and a little fog, but also the brain in the gut, not happy, poor digestion. 3 brains, think about 3 brains. The head has the biggest brain with the most brain cells. The heart has a smaller brain with about 40,000 dendrites. And then there's a brain in the gut and all the microbiome there. Restless, sleep deprived, says Nancy. Restlessness and racing thoughts for Kate. Anna, background tension and anxiety. Yeah. Taya, staying asleep, challenging. Jyotsna, I'm not sure if I'm saying your name right. Headaches, anxiety, dizziness, lethargic. So that's an interesting combination, you see, because headaches and dizziness are from the same family, but then anxious and lethargic would be opposites, right? Anxious, imagine like a spinning wheel, and over stimulation for the nervous system, more like a fight or flight type engagement of the central nervous system. But lethargic is that apathy, that like lack of energy, right? Not enough of that vitality, of that spark. So interesting that you experience both. Anna says waking up in the middle of the night and having difficulty to fall back asleep due to racing thoughts. You begin to see patterns. You see here that we are very different and unique, and we all have commonality in our human experience. And there's some worry all the time because of the wars. Thank you for sharing that. That's almost like a fear pulsing that is dominating the collective, because the whole world is affected by it. For how long? How long already? Yes, so this is something that our environment is beaming at us, that we have to learn how to control in our own self, because we don't have control over it. Kate, staying asleep is a huge challenge. I'm up around 2-3 each night. Yeah, I've felt it too, where I'm up at 3, like ready to get out, get going with the day. But it's not enough rest for your body. So if you don't get a full night, then what about the next day? How do you feel when you don't get enough sleep the next day? How challenged are you to think clearly and to feel energized? Rose talking about tears when hearing intense news, stickiness when something is hard, sad and overwhelmed, like a weighty heaviness. Yeah, I feel that sometimes too. Like a blanket of worry and heaviness that is not mine. Which is something I ask you to see if this resonates. When you feel that way, do you wonder sometimes, who does this belong to? Because you may be happy and everything is okay, and then suddenly, boom, you feel that heaviness. So it's an interesting question sometimes, like, who does this belong to? Is this mine, or whose is this? She says, I sleep more, rest when possible, no social media except timer. I need to be very selective about what I listen to and take in. Rose, that's great. Thank you for sharing that. That's a really effective tool, and we're going to practice that too. To be selective, to be discerning, to be deliberate. So mark these words: selective, discerning, deliberate. April, poor digestion, overwhelm, inability to relax, hypervigilance. Right? That is a very clear symbol or sign that you are in fight or flight. You are, because look at it from evolutionary perspective. Imagine when we didn't have, like, I went to some friend's house the other day. They have a ring system, so there was a movement in the garage, and the phone gave them a ping. Some movement in your garage, right? But when we didn't have systems, when we didn't have houses to shelter, when we didn't have so much self-protection around us, we have to protect ourselves with only our internal systems. So we always slept with one ear, paying attention, one eye half open, much like when you have a young child under your care. And this is part of how we stayed safe. And the ones that didn't have fear didn't make it. They were eaten. Think about that for a minute. It's very illuminating. We conquered fire by being afraid of fire, but being aware that fire cooks, but fire burns. So the ones that didn't fear fire, they didn't make it. They couldn't conquer it. They couldn't use it. They couldn't travel the fire. They couldn't keep it. They maybe got burnt or maybe just dismissed it. So there's a relationship between danger and our ability to fear or be aware of it, and survival that is healthy, that is useful. But when it's in overdrive, when it's imbalanced with our need for feeling safe and being able to rest, that it's connected to feeling safe. If you don't feel safe, you don't fall asleep. You don't. You're staying alert. And when we carry that state throughout the day, even if you're going through the motions and going to work and doing things, if you're always hypervigilant, your musculature is also in that state. Your heart is also in somewhat of a contraction because you cannot fully relax and open. So let's put this in two categories, right? Two categories. One is the state of adequate to the trigger, to the input, adequate censoring what is safe and what is not safe. Did I eat too much? Is this piece of news what I need to be consuming right now? Is this person stimulating what I want to be stimulated right now? Or are they putting me into more fear or more overwhelm, right? That state of discernment, choice, deliberate consumption, and selective use of our attention. And that has a lot to do with boundaries. Yes, so part of what we're going to work with today is to create boundaries, to create a protective space for ourselves, and to create a place where we can put all the worries and help free our attention, free our peace, to fall asleep, to have creative thoughts, to be able to connect and feel safe. Okay, so that's one area. The other area is to create a zone of safety, meaning to feel anchored, to feel grounded, and to use your body to give you that sense of rest, conservation of energy. It's the opposite of the fight or flight. It's a parasympathetic state. So let's begin with that, shall we? So we begin practicing and we take the talk now into the heart and into the body. If you have any questions, like Rose is saying, I would love to hear more about the three brains, please put them in the chat. So then I take a peek and I'll see if I can interlace your answers as part of the live session, okay? To answer yours, Rose, because you just placed it there 5 minutes ago, imagine the three brains as three major centers in your body that are constantly checking in with the environment and giving you information. Much like when you're reading something and your brain is paying attention to understanding, decoding the words so they make meaning, so you're not looking at a page and nothing makes sense, right? You're in all the time decoding words into language that makes sense to you. Some things you will remember, some you won't. Sometimes there are instructions there. Same thing with the information you receive from your heart. It's a much less developed brain for some of us, but there is a little brain in the heart. Look at Dr. Pearsall's The Heart's Code book. Pearsall. I think it's called James. The Heart's Code. Magnificent book from late 90s. Amazing that it's not more popular. I don't know why. You know this because I'm sure you've used it if you're in this app. How many times you've connected to someone and immediately you felt a connection, like your heart knew that was a trusted person, or you were somehow a match of sorts and you wanted to learn more about them or stay in touch or dig in, right, to that relationship. And how many times you met somebody or had an experience or were put in front of a situation or opportunity and you felt in your heart that it was a no. Your heart knew right away. And you can say it's intuition, but it's also the knowledge of the heart, which is a major organ and it has its own brain there. The gut brain is being much studied, so you can easily look that up. And it's not so much the intuition, which you may feel in your gut as well, but it's also how much signals it sends to the brain because of all this small biome there, microbiome, and how it is influencing your fogginess sometimes, or the clarity. You eat certain foods, they make you sleepy. You eat other foods, they give you energy. It's a process. It's a two-way process to the brain, to the head brain. So interesting to look it up. And for me, the most important piece here is to bring coherence or balance. Some people move only from this brain. Some people move only from the heart, right? So how can we bring balance to all three centers, major centers? And what does that feel like for you? So I want to ask you just to fire, you know how they say like quick answers? There's a word for that, I forget now. Answer in the chat if you can. What would it feel like to you if you don't know already? What would it feel like to be balanced, to feel grounded, to have a regulated nervous system? If you remember that, like an example could be good sleep. Yes, or restful sleep. What else comes to mind that you know? Because guess what? If you don't know where you're headed, it's like you don't put anything in your GPS, or you don't have a map, or you're not sure where are you aiming for. So let's have a direction here. What would it feel like to be regulated, to feel grounded, to not be drawn to the overwhelm? Stillness. Yes, I love that. Thank you, Lydia. Inner quiet, peace. Thank you. Yes. Peaceful. Kate, yes. Anna, calm and integrated. Yeah, integrated. And there's harmony, beautiful like music. Yes, harmonious state. Contentment, says Richard. Heavenly. I love it. That awesome complete exhale. Let's take one of those right now. Get a step closer. Beautiful. So see that we have cues here that are body cues, like the breath. We have calmness and peace. We have cues here from people that have experiences, because thank you, you can share from your experience that it's a quality. Like contentment is an emotion, right? Heavenly and harmonious are qualities. You may look at a landscape and say, wow, that's heavenly. This feels heavenly. So looking for, again, that as an ideal, and when the further we are from that, we know that we are not there. So what creates that state sometimes? Do we allow things that will take us away from peace? I had a meditation the other day where I could hear these words: do not step on my garden. For me, that is a symbol, right, of keeping my peace. And if this is stepping on my garden, it's not keeping me in peace, it's ruining my peace. So let's begin with that practice. Let's imagine that we're going to create both a place, I'll guide you through it, to put all the worries, and we're going to use this before meditation if you like to meditate, in a moment of overwhelm, and especially before sleep, especially before that moment where you want to feel deeply relaxed. Okay? Yeah, thank you. So begin by placing your feet on the ground and cross your legs. Remember that your feet have centers under them, much like the hands, and they want to be grounded, they want to be rooted. It's like plugging something with ground or without ground, if you know that expression in the electricity. So plug your feet on the ground, first of all, especially if you can be barefoot, because rubber soles are insulated, so they don't allow you to ground. And especially if you can do this outside on the grass. But if you can't, that's okay. Just remove shoes, uncross your legs, because so both feet can have ground access. And place your, I'm going to come back to the chat, so please keep sharing. If you want to come to the chat later after the practice, I will still answer it. So uncross the legs, Let's practice first. Don't step on my garden type boundary, okay? And also to create that energy conversion box. I'll teach you how to do that so all the worries can go there. Now, what to do with the hands is up to you. You can put the hands on your thighs. If you're lying down, I would say put your palms up, because palms up receive, palms down give. I like to place my hands like this when I'm meditating or grounding, because I connect the two sides of my brain this way, much like the two hemispheres. But most importantly, place the arms in a way that feel relaxing, so you're not tensing up to get relaxed, okay? So open and relaxed. And imagine, from whichever is easier to you to picture this, could be the feet or could be the tailbone. Imagine a big long cord, like a string or a cord, even thicker, and it could be bright or it could be red. Imagine it going down like a big root, all the way down, as far down as you can picture it, going through the soil and the crust of the earth and all the rocks there and the magma and everything and anything you can picture there, going deep, deep, deep to a very stable place in the middle of the earth. And this would be much like picturing you are a tree and you have deep, 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 deep roots. And this is something you want to do often, not only when you're overwhelmed, because then is when you need it the most. You want to practice it often. You want to be this tree and feel deep roots coming out, say, of every toe of your feet and the middle of your foot and your heels and the tailbone. And if you are good at visualizing, or you're developing that ability, visualize a thick cord like this between the thumb and the pinky. That's as big as your energy center in the middle of the spine is. Some traditions call it prana tube or tai chi tube or energy pillar. And thick beam there connecting you all the way down to the earth. And you can even say the word connect and feel connected. And in this moment, I'm plugging in to my roots. This doesn't mean that there's a little movement. You can allow it. We will move also. But find the stillness, that point of zero motion, zero anything. And notice that if you can still your body, much like you were a body of water, the more still you can get it, the more you get to see what's still bubbling in. So if you're running around, it's harder to notice your mind racing or your feelings, but you quiet your body for a minute and then you witness more clearly what's still racing within. Now move into the center of your chest and picture, if you need to put your hand there you can, picture a flower of some sort. I like a rose because rose has many petals. And picture some sort of flower that can open one little bit at a time, just open. And see if that image is good for you. If not, find an image of something opening, like a sunflower or a bud of some sort of a plant opening. And with each breath, see if you can let just a little bit more opening there. And even if it returns to closing, it's okay. But then open again. And anchor, just much like we just anchored with the feet, anchor in your heart. Big part of conquering this fear and overwhelm is to learn how to move from our hearts without feeling threatened, because it's vulnerable. It can help movement-wise if you need to, if you have the tendency to collapse. It can help to open your arms, palms up, and even arch or look up a little bit and create more space in the chest so you open. If there's muscular tension, I have some great massage classes in my website to soften the actual tissue. But movement-wise, looking up, breathing, and feeling, imagining that openness, something opening. Of course, as much as it feels good for you. Don't overdo it. Don't push harder than you feel okay with. And now, knowing that you can come back anytime to that root on each foot, at least one, but perhaps 5, 6, and the tailbone, and follow that all the way down to the earth. Anytime you feel spinning up or losing ground, coming back down deep, 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 deep there. Yeah? Allowing the place in the middle of the body, your heart, to stay open no matter what. So accepting that sometimes you're not available, accepting that sometimes your thoughts are taking you away or pulling you into other emotions or worries. Allowing the heart to become this container for it all. Some sort of place where you can exchange. Ram Dass is really good at this, exchanging suffering into love. So the alchemizing place in the body is the human heart. So allowing that to be clear, to know that that's there and it's possible. And if you've never done it, we can do it today, and then it gets easier each time you do it again. So now close your eyes. We have the roots on our feet. We have this alchemizing, transmuting place in our heart that we keep open to receive and to exchange. And now picture in your mind, with your eyes closed, picture some sort of box or chest, or it could be round, but it's easier if it has a lid. And this is an energy conversion box. Picture this vibrant, glowing box and a lid. And we're going together to open the lid and begin to put into this box all the things that we are concerned about or worried about or thinking about. Just one at a time, put them into the box. And you can use a symbol for them. Let's say you're worried about money or time. You can put there a bill, currency, or a clock. Let's say you're worried about a person, so you can put a photograph. Let's say you're worried about your job or your house. Just symbols, put them in the box. One at a time. They're safely gonna be kept there until you're back. And this is very useful before meditation, before sleep. Say you're worried about a situation or the world. You can picture the whole globe of the earth and put it in the box. Don't you worry, they'll be there when you come back. One at a time. And as we go through the practice, if new things come up, you can easily, with the left, I like with the left, but with whatever hand you want, open the lid, put it in there, close the lid, keep going. Or you can picture a vacuum pulling it and putting it in the box. A vacuum type action, pulling it from your mind and safely putting it in the box. This energy box will keep them safe, don't you worry. So that's one big, big piece. It's a safekeeping place for all your concerns, your worries, your fears, the things that are out of your control right this minute. Beautiful. And now, knowing that you have that tool there and you can use it whenever you want to, Come back to your feet, anchors or roots, and let now a little movement appear, a little circular movement around your pubic area and tailbone, so your feet are engaging with the ground, and you can move your pelvis a little bit, let's say clockwise. And imagine that we create with this movement a circle around our whole body. So imagine the center is in your body, but how big can you picture it? Breathe in. And when you breathe out, imagine it bigger, like a sphere. Again, if you need to use your body because visualizing is not so easy for you yet, expand your arms and picture this circle around your whole body. Around your whole body like a sphere. Yes. Like a sphere. And you can move your body to see how tall it is above your head and how wide it is, and round underneath you and all the way down under your feet even. And now as you breathe, energize this place, and you can keep moving if it helps you. Sometimes if you feel restless, being completely still is not helpful, so a little movement helps you get distracted from how restless you are. Eventually come back to stillness and feel the roots clear in your heart, and that your heart can accept whatever comes and transmute it. You can do that if that's needed. Feel this circle around you like a boundary, like an actual sphere, an energetic field of sorts, your electromagnetic field. You can look this up if you're not aware of what it is, that it's only as porous as you want it to be, meaning you only let in what you want to let in, and you are very deliberate and selective with what comes in. So you don't allow, you don't agree, you don't accept any interference here in this space of yours. It's a space of sovereignty, of personal power, of peace. And it's your choice to let in energy, people, thoughts, ideas, influences. It's your choice. So feel the power of that and energize it with your breath. You breathe in, it expands, and you feel it all around you, even behind you. And as you breathe out, you can exchange with that, and you can even picture it like a toric field, like the core of an apple, because it's an exchange. So it goes up and then comes down and comes in through the tube, the middle of your spine, and then up to the top of the head and around and in again, and it fully exchanges with the environment, and it energizes you and protects you from any invasion on your sovereignty, on your personal power. And it's alive, so it can get even bigger. It can protect your whole house, including your family members, your whole community and town and country and continent and planet. You know, with practice you can make it as big as you want. You can anchor a field for the whole planet. But begin with yourself. Always begin with your own body and the space around your body. And you can say out loud, if this is a challenging area for you, I do not consent to any invasion on my sovereignty, on my peace. I do not consent. I do not allow this. Simple as that. No, thank you. Yes, and use this when something comes up your way that you're not interested in participating with. Gossip, blaming, complaining, worrying. So coming back to this idea that you are the keeper of your garden. And what is the garden really? It's your mind, your feelings, your actions. And you don't let anyone step on it that you don't invite in. Okay? Of course, I let a lot of people in and show them my garden, share with them. But meanwhile, you have the ability to do not consent to anything invading your garden of peace and harmony. So one more thing. Let's come back to the circle. And now imagine that the circle is splitting into two, and make a little circle over the right sit bone. Again, because we want to bring all these more spiritual practices into the body. Remember, it's about grounding, anchoring this energy, not just feeling it. But to expand, you need a big anchor. Just think of these boats, right? The bigger the boat, the bigger the anchor. So now do a circle over your right sit bone only, meaning almost lift your left side, very light on the left, and make a circle over the right sit bone. Take your time, make it smooth, and engage as much as your lower back as you can, so it becomes really pleasurable and feeling good. And then come back to the middle. Feel the power of that movement, even just for a minute, that the right side is... Do you feel it? It's even more deeply anchored on the chair, especially if your chair is not too soft. So now, inviting even a deeper breath, and we're going to work with the breath for last because it's more subtle. Let's do a circle on the left side. So pushing just lightly from the right foot. I love Debbie saying, putting my iPhone in the box. Yes, absolutely. Okay, so now you're pushing slightly with the right foot just to create some sort of motion or pump. And then let the body participate more and more as you do a circle with your whole self over the right side, the left side of the pelvis. So it's almost like this is the pelvis and you're making a circle around it. And if this is new, don't worry. Take your time with it. It might be a little confusing the first time you do it. Let more and more of your whole body participate. And if something comes up that is worrisome, put it in the energy box. Let it be held. And notice that your heart is softening as well, the chest. Move it if you need to. And stop and come back to the middle and feel now your two legs. And imagine those roots. And see that they're more rooted even in the ground. Now let's say part of your challenge is that you're apathic, like somebody was saying, lethargic, not enough energy, coming into a moment in the afternoon where you just hit this wall and don't want to do anything. You can practice coming to this place where you did a circle with the right side and you did a circle with the left side. And now see if you can connect the two circles. Connect the two circles with some sort of an infinity sign where you're doing an H shape. And if you need to use your hand, you can use your hand. And begin to feel how this begins to energize you even more, but grounded. You're not just in your head, you're fully present on your feet, in your legs, in your heart. And see what the 8 figure, the infinity symbol, does to your energy, to your level of awakening, being awake. Okay, so come back and stay in the center and feel the ripple inside of that movement you just did. Imagine it layering down throughout your whole body, because it was moving everything, your shoulders, your ribs, your pelvis, your knees, your ankles. And come back to the roots of your feet. We worked with, for those of you just arriving, imagining roots, uncrossed legs, barefoot, feet on the ground, roots from the center of your feet, from each toe down, and from the heel. And one more from the tailbone. Big anchor to the core of the earth. So now with this, and sensing perhaps any more peace in your body now, more stillness available, knowing that you have this energy box right here on the left, where you can put all the worrisome thoughts that appear as you're practicing. Just keep unloading them and putting them there, keeping them safe. Connect your hands again, your two hemispheres, and begin to breathe together. Just breathe in and out, and if it helps you to re-energize that sphere or the toric field around you with the breath, perfect. You don't have to. Simply, I want to share one more piece, which is the breath. Breathing in, hold, breathing out, hold. Don't worry about how long, just simply notice there's 4 stages. This is the most basic way to work with your breath. Breathing in fully, expanding even more at the heart, shoulders back. Hold that state of fullness, presence, openness. Breathing out, settle into your roots, your anchors, your sphere. Hold the space without any breath, the emptiness. This is a deep moment of trust. Trust in the next breath coming. You are safe. Breathing in, taking in from your environment and knowing that you're only allowing in that which you consent to. Expand yourself fully. Hold that. Feel the fullness. Imagine yourself glowing, radiating in all directions. Front, back, sides, up, down. Breathing out. Settling down. Even more so into the ground, and hold. Right after the exhale, just hold for a moment. Contemplate the void, space, emptiness, stillness. Breathing in, breathing out, with just a little pause between each breath. 4-stage breath. A thought comes, a worrisome feeling, put it in the box. Come back to your sphere, the feet, the breath, your heart. Breathing in. See if you can allow a gentle smile, just slightly. A smile that reminds you that you're present, that you're here, that you're not distracted, that you have resources. And now breathing in, especially if we're breathing in together, feel the power of this community. We are here together as one. Hold, feel that support, that safety created by our intention. Breathing out, let go of anything that is holding you back from allowing that support to be felt in your body. You're not the only one. We are all going through this. Breathing in. Few more petals can open in your heart. The rose of 1,000,000 petals. Hold it. Breathing out, release your scent, your song. Release your beauty, your brilliance, your joy. Just share it because you can. And now come back to one idea, one thought that you want to keep and truly, truly make it yours. Remember it. If you need to do it again, let's say it was the figure 8 or infinity with your movement, or the expansion in your sphere and the protection and boundary setting that we did, or the energy box and safekeeping of all these worries. Whatever it was, just do it again. So you intentionally make it yours and remember it, and you can do it. You can use it, you can keep it. And know that you'll be able to come back here anytime you want to. Come back to this moment. Come back to this collective support. Come back to yourself. And with that, I thank you so, so much for the practice today, loves. Thank you. I am so happy to be able to share with you and to learn from you. Thank you so much for the comments. Thank you, Rose, for your donation. Much appreciated. How do you feel, guys? Can you share with me? Can you share with us all? How do you feel? Ha! Nancy, that is so wonderful. Yeah, there's an interconnectedness. I was talking about it at the very beginning too. I didn't name it community, but that's what it is. Yes, it's the interconnectedness of all our roots and all our hearts and all our thoughts, that they can influence us in both directions. Your neighbor's worries can affect you, but also can support you. Their roots can support you too. Thank you so, so much for bringing that up. And this feels like a very good place to practice together, this community here at Insight. So I'm glad that you feel that as well. April feeling peaceful, Anders feeling great. Thank you, Elle. Thank you, everybody. Any questions? Any other shares? Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Iga. I appreciate that. Camelia, great. I will be able to post this in maybe like a week. I can sometimes edit and replay this. So take a look at my website. My link tree is on my teacher's page. Welcome back. Thank you for your donations and support. Thank you, thank you. If you have any questions as to how much of this can you do, I would say look for what feels great, right? So for me, for example, if I overdo the breathing, I can go again far up, high up, and leave the groundedness in the body, right? So I want to balance the roots. That's why I didn't do only breathing, but breathing in movement and visualization and movement, because it feels to me that movement is a really good way to anchor that stillness. Because otherwise, for my nature, which is easily, going into the ether, if I only visualize and only meditate and only breathe, I can totally escape from the world. So I'm just sharing that because too much of a good thing is a bad thing. So that's why the emphasis in the beginning of the session, for those of you that arrived towards the end, the beginning of the practice was about rooting with our feet. And even thinking of that as you're sitting, let's say you're sitting, taking in some challenging news, or having a challenging conversation, or going somewhere that feels unsettling to you, just picture these roots, call them in. Sit on that chair and cross your legs, call in the deep root in the tailbone, move it a little bit, anchor it. Did anyone feel more like a little bit more rooted and I don't know how to say it other than anchored, but more settled in your seat after doing the circles? Did that work for you? Because that movement is almost like if you're ever at the beach and you're digging a hole, right? There's these new things, these plastic things in the US at least, that they make a hole in the sand to put your umbrella, right? Instead of you having to scoop up. And what is it? It's a cork. And it's a circular motion that goes down and down and down and down and down and down and down. So just picture that corkscrew, like spiral motion down. And that's what we're doing with the circles. And we're basically screwing ourselves down into the ground, like grounding us, grabbing the ground. Yeah? And the same with the figure 8, though that could create more energy also up the spine. But we are also seeking, balancing both sides of the body and seeking that earthing, grounding. Great, awesome. Thank you for the comments. I'm going to read. Pleasure in the lower back. Oh, I love that. Yeah, Amma, that's a super good mention. So what I meant by pleasure and feeling good in the lower back when you're doing the circles is the lower back. Think about it energetically. If you're familiar with the chakras, the first chakra is the one for safety, right? It's at the tailbone, and safety, security, our needs being met, financial, all that. And then the second one is the sacral, which is at the lumbar spine. Those two are challenged when we are unsettled. Those two are feeling like weak or brittle or small. So whenever we're doing the circles, we have the chance, and I said go in both directions because men and women may not be, depending on the schooling that you're looking at, some say men's energy centers spin to the left and women's spin to the right. That's a whole other conversation, but just try both directions and what feels better to you. You want to release any tension that is trapped in the spine in those areas, even up to the solar plexus, which is personal power, sovereignty, my internal sun. Yeah, so you want to move that. You want to move the lower part of the spine as much as possible and find what feels good to you. Because if it feels good, it's most likely releasing some sort of oxytocin, dopamine, feel-good hormones. It's telling, again, it's all about, I said it at the start, biofeedback, checking in with yourself. What feels good? How does this make me feel? This movement, this person, this thought, this experience, this food, all of it. Just check in with yourself over and over again. So if you're doing the circle, let's say, but you're fully rigid, and right now I'm clamping and tensing up my glutes and feeling like my whole chest is just like a stick, it's not as beneficial as if you're moving and releasing the low back. Just try it. It's creating other sensations, other neurotransmitters are firing, you're feeling more different things. So engage as much as your whole body as you can and check in what feels good. If you have any challenge in your lower back and you do too much, it's not going to feel good, it's going to hurt. So do less. So always checking in gives you really the best clue as to how much is enough. Let's see. Thank you for your donations, guys. Rose, beautiful practice. I was also imagining the power and light we're bringing through our collective practice. Yes, amazing. That's what we do. Yeah, it's for the collective. It's for everyone. It's for the people that are less aware, as much as for us. If you feel like the black sheep in your family, you're not alone. And our collective process is that of the highest. What does it say? The boat, the tide that lifts everyone, right? We lift everyone around us with our own awareness, with our own joy, with our own practice. How many times were you gifted to say something and somebody said, oh wow, that's a great idea, I didn't think of that, and now you illuminated them. This is the same thing. Great movement, nice, grounded, calm, connected. Thank you. And take the tools and share them. Yeah. Grateful and more still, less alone. Oh, that's wonderful that you feel more connection. Thank you, Roseanne. Yeah, we're not alone in this. Not at all. Yeah, alternating a little movement can help you in the meditation, yes. Feel tension around my ribs, open and release when I just stood up. Nice. Yes, Erica, great point. Walk around a little bit and you'll feel this in motion. Very good. Body loves small movements, potent embodiment practice, fantastic. Thank you, Kate, I appreciate you. Great. Okay, and Jana loves the figure eight movement, so we're on track. Everybody has great comments. I don't see any questions. I appreciate you follow the page. If you haven't, share the link so more people can come to join us in this community. I have a couple more events booked for the next coming weeks. Let's take a look. So next weekend I can't be here, sadly, because I am going to be away with some friends in the shore. I will try to do a live video and post that on the social networks, so you can look for my YouTube channel. That's where you see the most content, and there's a little bit on Instagram and Facebook. So I will do an update live from the beach, but I can't really promise a strong internet connection to book an event. And when I book an event here, if I can't make it, I have to cancel it. I feel really bad. So that's why I'm taking that weekend off. It was my birthday this past week, so I'm celebrating it, and I feel honored to be able to celebrate with you today. It's a whole week or two of celebration for me. What else? The week after, I will be here, and we've been having a nice little series about self-massage. So if you're interested, it's released on my website, the biggest lesson, which was the first time I did it, a whole hour of whole body self-massage. I got really great reviews about that, so I put it out on the website. And then about to release on YouTube today, I think 12:30 or something like that. So in about 20 minutes in my YouTube, I will release the part 2, which was mainly about the neck and the feet, and how massaging your feet can release tension in your neck. And that was awesome. That was last week, and it's about to be released on YouTube, so I send you there. But next week, the week after next, May 11th at 11 a.m., right here, I'm gonna do dry brushing and self-massage. And for those of you that don't know what that is, you wanna check this out. So I'm gonna show you how to use a dry brush to move the lymph and to massage areas of our body that can release a lot of circulation, and again move stagnant, sticky areas of both energy but also lymph, and just bring, I feel, more cell repair. We're going to be talking to our body that way, and I'm going to share just briefly something that I will explore in depth the week after, so at the end of May, the following Saturday, which is using our capacity for self-healing. What does that mean? We hear it all the time. You can heal yourself. Well, I've been in healing for over 15 years for sure, professionally. And most people have resistance to believe that they can heal themselves. They come to me because I'm the healer and I heal them. And I had a big struggle with that because I could not convince them that they could heal themselves. So I've come up with more ways and more sources of research, anything from epigenetics to quantum healing, to put in front of you and in your hands tools just like today's, except those tools would be to look at how can you heal yourself. Can you heal yourself, and how much, and to what extent do you need somebody else to validate, yeah, what you're doing is working, here are the test results, here are the measurements. Okay, so that's the theme for the session at the end of May. I think it's May 18. Saturday, 11 a.m. You'll find me here. And if you know somebody that needs to hear that, send them over because I will be here in this same environment, very inviting place, to share all of these important things. And if you, in the meantime, have any questions or comments, there's a contact form in my website that you can complete. And I'll be happy to answer you, to offer you a free consultation or whatever you need to be more empowered in this path. It is my privilege and my honor to do that. And also my responsibility, because I know that it's going to get more intense. I know that it's going to get wilder and more chaotic. And all I wish is that we can find community, practices that help us maintain the peace in our hearts, the calm in our minds, and the strength and vitality and the rest that our bodies deserve and need and are meant for. So that's what I do, and these are the ways that we do it. There's many, many, many ways. It's about, same as flavors of ice cream or food, it's about finding what works for you. What do you like? What do you want to do again? What can you not wait to do again because it's so good for you? And that's what I'm here to discover. Thank you for the birthday wishes. Oh, I love that. Look at all these cute little emojis. Thank you, guys. Oh, I turned 49. Can you believe it? Look at all the happy birthday wishes. Thank you so much. Yay. Dry brush. I can't show you mine right now because it's upstairs, but it looks like it's an oval brush like this, that it looks like an old school brush, like from the grandmothers. Or it has a long handle, mine, so you can use it for your back. And it has like the brush hairs are not plastic, are like some sort of natural material. That's all I can say because I don't have it in front of me. But I'm sure that any like what is that word? Bristles? Any hair. Any brush that doesn't have plastic thing could help you, but there's specific ones for dry brushing. And I'm gonna find a solution for those of you that don't have, like, to use our fingertips or something like that, but it won't be the same thing. Thank you, guys. I love you. Yes, I'll see you again soon. Yeah, amazing. Okay, loves, it's been a joy to share this with you. Remember what we did. Practice it again. Remember, if you don't use it, you lose it. So at least practice the one thing you want to remember the most. And I'll see you again next time, okay? I'll see you on May 11 at 11 a.m. for another beautiful session together. Thank you so much. Mwah. Hugs to you all and much love. See you soon. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next video.